Welcome to the 2D Web Solution Show, the podcast that provides freelancers who are wanting to make more with WordPress, the solutions to create a plan, take action, and experience success. And now, here are Arelthia Phillips and Carron with their next 2D Web Solutions episode.
First of all, we want to thank you all for being here for episode 14. This episode is all about a new year, planning for the year, evaluating the past, questioning the future. So let's get started here. First of all, I want to welcome, our viewers. We have a live audience today, Kerry. So I want to welcome them all here.
Yeah, extremely exciting. I'm so excited to have people in the audience again. And this time we made it a little more known. So let's get going with today's topic. And today's topic is Kickstart Your Business Year.
Question, what do you do and how do you plan for a new business year?
Wow. I get very excited at this time of year because for me, it's always about new beginnings. There's so much to do. The first thing I always do is really evaluate where I am. And I try to take a deep, honest look at myself, and I ask myself, where are you? Where are you really in your life? And it can be anything, it can be, where are you emotionally? Where are you physically, spiritually? Is your health okay? And then it even goes into, where are you occupationally and where are you business-wise? And really that's what we're here today to talk about. But for me, I can't limit it just to my business. It has to be my whole being, because if my whole being isn't where I want to be, then I need to start to manipulate things and change things. So I would say evaluation is where I really begin planning for a new year. What are some of the things that you do?
Carrie, it's interesting that you brought up, you have to look at yourself as a whole, because if the pieces don't fit together, it just does not work. And once you have one thing that falls apart, it tends to impact everything else in your life. So, I like to start out by looking at things kind of from an emotional standpoint. And the way I do that is just by writing it all out. I go through these little notebooks. And so I just write it all out so I can just get it all out. Because once you start writing it out, all of a sudden you start to see what's really on your mind. And then that's when I get into the nitty gritty of my business. Nitty gritty, oh my goodness. So I start to think about, okay, so where was I this year? How did I do with new customers? Did I have any new customers? How many new customers did I have? How did I interact with my normal customers, those customers that keep coming back to me? How many of those did I have? Were my normal customers as active with me as they normally are? So that's when I have to pull out my reports, because I use like Wave app, and then like my stuff that comes in through Stripe and PayPal as well. But for all my invoicing, I use Wave app. And so I pull all that stuff and look at it. I like to look at, like, Wave app gives me this report that shows me like all my income from certain customers, from each customer. So I like to look at that, compare it to the year before. Okay, so were my top customers still my top customers? Did I have enough new customers coming in? And I think about that. And once you look at the real numbers, then it's really time to think about, okay, so what did I do to have numbers that look like this? Because yes, I look at my numbers like daily. For example, I have a little spreadsheet that's actually in my Google Sheets, but originally it came from, I think Nina East was where I originally got it from. And her thing was, you need to track your income daily. Okay, so I took that a step further, and instead of just looking at my income, I look at, okay, what income came in that day. Also, I look at like how many new trial signups did I get for my Simple Church Kiosk SaaS. Then I look at how many actually people converted from a trial to an actual subscriber that day. I look at how many plugin sales did I get in that day. So those are the numbers that I'm concerned about on a daily basis.
It's really, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think back to when I was an Herbalife distributor, and tracking things daily like that was a huge part of the business. And I noticed when I was tracking things daily, it was really when it made the difference. And I have some of those sheets. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is kind of go back through some of my old paperwork from there and see if I can readapt some of those worksheets to apply to what I'm doing now, because it's a great tool to have that stuff written down. You are way more organized than in tracking your business than I am.
It's interesting, Kerry, because what we pay attention to is what grows and develops. I can tell when I stop paying attention to the things I'm supposed to pay attention to, because that's when things start to die off. It's just like in a relationship. If you don't pay enough attention to that person, all of a sudden there becomes like this big disconnect between you and that other person, and it's even, like if you even think about it, it's biblical, because, the parable about where two people get something, one person buries it in the ground, not paying it any attention. And then you have another person that takes it and works with it to grow it. And so if you don't pay attention to it, you lose it. No one wants to be with someone that does not pay attention to it. So money does not want to be with someone that's not paying attention to it.
Right, and it wants to be multiplied, and it wants to be invested in. So I'm curious, while we have visitors listening and an audience, what kind of things that they're doing, or even if they have any questions for us along the way. You guys feel free to go ahead and post your questions either in the question or in the chat. It actually might be easier if you put it in the chat, as Aletha goes directly at trying to find everything. So let's see. Oh, I wanted to also touch on, making sure that after you do all of this evaluation, after you look at where you are, to then set attainable goals for yourself. That's what I do next. After I look at where I'm at, then I say, what would I like to change? And then I take the areas that I want to change and I come up with a plan, and then I try to make it so that every day I am taking an action that moves me closer to where I want to be. So making a conscious effort every single day to take myself where I am to where I want to be, and putting those steps in place and taking those actions.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kerry, that, we can look at this all day long, but if we don't set goals and take action, then nothing happens. I like to do like a 100-day plan where I work on a specific thing for 100 days, and I do something every day for those 100 days. And when you do that, you work on like something for 100 days. What happens after that 100 days is a result of the action that you took during those 100 days. And it's interesting because like trying to figure out what goals I should have, I try to look at like, based on what I've seen from the prior year, what are some opportunities that I see, and what are some things that maybe I need to adjust for, because maybe it's like a threat to my business. And I hate to use that word, but maybe it's a threat to something that I'm already doing. Maybe I already see something that I need to change based on what's going on around me or in my business. So
yeah, there's a lot of external influences that kind of dictate and take you in a direction either that's in line with where your business is, or it sometimes takes you completely in the other direction. But it's important to pay attention to those opportunities, because everything is an opportunity, and you have to really look at it and say, is this an opportunity that I need to follow, or that I have to follow, or is this just a squirrel that's leading me down that path and I'm chasing that squirrel? And it's a fine line, and it's hard to determine sometimes which direction to go.
And I think Sanford has a question. He says, I know you're both swamped time-wise. How do you juggle all the things you have going on and still get your work done? You want to take that question, Kerry?
Yeah, that is exactly in line with what I was just saying. It's like you need to really look at where you want to go, and then aim for that goal, and set your interim goals along the way to get you to that goal. And on a very regular basis, evaluate where you are and if you're still in line with that goal and getting there, or if you need to divert and go a different direction. It's all a matter of planning it, setting the goal, and taking the action. It really is. It's creating the plan, taking the action, and experiencing the success, as our website says.
And it's interesting, Kerry, that you said create the plan, because like one of the most important things with the plan is like actually deciding when you're going to take the action. Not just, I'm going to take action, but when. Put it on your calendar. I find that when I have my day planned out, I know at this time I have to do this. I only have this amount of time to do this. Things get done. The problem happens when I have time not blocked off in my calendar for stuff. That's when all the procrastination happens. That's when I'm seen to be distracted by this chat or Facebook or whatever. But if it's on my calendar, if my calendar says this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then that's what I do. So it's all about putting your plan, putting it in your calendar so that you know exactly when to take the action.
Yes, and when you're when you're putting things in your calendar, we talked about this in another episode when we talked about setting our priorities and establishing our boundaries. Again, I go back to the boundaries, Kerry, the boundary queen. But having your plan and setting your priorities, and everybody's priority is going to be different. We talked about, spirituality, and we talked about family, and we talked about work, and what the real order is for you, whatever is important to you and what's going to work for you is the priority that you have to set. And by setting those priorities, that's how you juggle. It's not really juggling. It's setting those priorities and living by those priorities that you set for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess we should move on to the second question.
Yeah.
So if you had to start over, Arelthia, and just begin from nothing, what would you do?
If I had to begin from nothing, really what I would do is I'd do a little bit of lurking. I'd really find some places online where there are people that I like being around, and see what problems that they have, see what's going on with them, so that I can decide what direction I want to go in. Because sometimes, like, my biggest problem is that, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. I can do so many different things, but I need to focus myself on one thing. So that's what I would do, is to determine the one thing that I want to focus on, and then I would go from there. What about you, Kerry?
I find it funny that we're even talking about this, and it's the perfect time of year for doing this. But I do exactly what I'm doing right now. I would evaluate where I am and really look at my business. I would set goals. I would determine the best way to reach those goals. But most importantly, I would really, really pay particular attention to intimately define things, setting the time frame, and little teeny tiny steps, measurable steps that I can get from where I am to where I want to be. And that really is what I need to do this year. It's one of the things that I need to change. Is I believe that my business plan, for lack of a better term, is too vast. And so I really need to focus in on what it is I need to take action on and do it in a timely manner. And I need to do it every single day. So I know just from talking here, and it literally came up during this recording, is that I really need to come up with that daily checklist or form. And I am going to start this year tracking on a daily basis exactly what gets done and what is not getting done, and come up with plans to ensure that what I need to get done is getting done to move me closer to where I need to be.
All right, great. And one other thing, Kerry, that I think is like very important, especially if you're starting out or you're not just starting out, is to make sure you have a group or an individual, someone to help hold you accountable for the things that you say that you're going to do. Something like, I don't know, like if you have a mentor or you're part of a mastermind or something that helps to keep you moving forward. So that's very important.
Yeah, I bet I wonder if our group, our listeners are interested in something like that. I'm pretty certain that you and I could probably throw something together to make that happen for them if that's something they're interested in.
Yeah.
So let us know if that is something that you guys would like us to help you with or to start assisting you with. And I'm sure we can come up with something.
Yes, so, something like an accountability group, Sanford. Yes, definitely something like that. Something where where you hold each other accountable, and let's say if you just want to bounce ideas off of each other, a safe place where you can share your ideas and get feedback, and not feel as though someone's going to take your ideas and run with them. So, Kerry, do we have an action plan for today? Well, what is our action plan?
Yeah, our action plan is to schedule and evaluate your business this week and kickstart your year. So what we want you to do is pick a time sometime this week. So you have a time frame, you have a limit. By the end of this week, we'd like you to schedule and evaluate where your business is at. And then from there, you can do whatever you like.
All right, great. So, guys, here are some questions that we have for you. If you're watching this on our website, what we'd like for you to do is to let us know what are some things you do to prepare for a new business year. If you're listening to this on your podcast device of choice, visit our website at 2dwebsolutions.com and let us know what are some of the things you do to prepare for a new business year. Are you interested in being part of an accountability group?
And we really know that your comments can help us as well as other people while you're doing this process. So we really want to, thank you so much for being here, and we so appreciate everybody in our audience and all of the groups that we're interested in and working with. And everybody is always so helpful to us. And this is our turn to give it back to you guys.
All right. So again, thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.
Now go out and create your plan, take action, and experience your success.
Kerry and Arelthia invite you to start your plan by taking this action. Submit your questions by visiting their website and subscribe to their 2D podcast at 2dwebsolutions.com.